Canada's emissions cap could kill 100,000 jobs while while China continues to build coal plants. And their numbers actually say that's the sort of middle of the road. It could be as high as 150,000 good paying Canadian jobs that are just absolutely nuked by the emissions cap, which in Alberta we call the production cap, because we want to ramp up production to at least 2 times what it is, and we definitely could, and we want to give good, hardworking jobs to people. According to the numbers by the Fraser Institute, it would slash Canadian oil and gas production by up to 12%, cost the economy at least $44 billion in a single year, kill between 54,000 and 151,000 jobs, drain 151 billion in federal revenue. That goes to the rest of you people between 2030 and 2040 and deliver virtually no measurable environmental benefit. So crush us and not even achieve the thing that it says it would do while crushing us. So even if you think it was worth it, as long as we save the earth, you're not saving the earth anyway.
No, it's pure textbook virtue signaling. And I think we saved the earth. As I said at the beginning of the show, like we're record low temperatures here in southeastern Ontario.
So let's stop it.
Yeah, let's get our refunds back and let's move forward without a ridiculous carbon tax, because I think the amount of carbon we reduced since the carbon tax was implemented, like as per government measures, was equal to whatever China produces in 37 minutes. Yeah. So like it took us 5 years to save or reduce or eliminate whatever the amount of carbon that is produced by China in just over half an hour. Right. So like, really, we're destroying and devastating Canadian livelihood, our economy, while China gets to a free pass. They are building, they're thriving, and they're just off to the races. And here we're just being squashed every which way we look at it.
Yeah, we could shut ourselves right down and China would make up the difference in about the length of one episode of the global climate czars, the UN, they still consider China not a developed country. So even though they have the world's second largest economy, and I think are hell-bent on taking over the world in one form or another, they get a pass to completely ramp up whatever emissions they have, because that's what it takes to develop their economy, while the rest of us suffer energy poverty.
Yeah. And you wrote this one up too, Sheila, that LNG exports could slash global emissions, but Carney's policies just keep it in a standstill.
Yeah. I mean, Canadian LNG exports could slash global emissions by 630 megatons. So seriously, I don't think that carbon dioxide is a pollutant. I don't believe that. As a farmer, I know that's not true. But the left and the liberals and Mark Carney keeps saying that it is. So if you care about these sorts of things, and I don't, but they do, then you should want to export LNG to everywhere in the world from Canada, creating good paying Canadian jobs while lowering global emissions. But as you know, the Liberal government has said that there is no business case for Canadian LNG. They said that to Japan at least twice when they came hat in hand looking for LNG. And they need LNG. They're going to get it from somewhere. And guess what? They're getting it from the United States now instead of us. And we would love to sell it to China, but they will buy it from the likes of Australia before us. We want to get, look, if you want Europe to be less dependent on Russia, one of the ways you do that is sell Canadian liquefied natural gas to Europe instead of Europe buying it from Russia's Gazprom, if you care about those things. And again, the liberals tell me they care about fighting a Russian aggression. Well, this is one way you do it. But they actually, I think, hate Alberta more than they hate the Russians, which is crazy because they really hate the Russians, so much so that they applauded a Nazi in the House of Commons.
Yeah, and we're seeing these net zero initiatives being abandoned at
Yeah.
every which way. And that recently has become quite clear when the Canada Pension Plan, this comes from the Globe and Mail, abandoned its net zero target.
Yeah.
It abandoned its net zero carbon emission target, becoming the latest large business to backtrack on environmental commitments over legal uncertainty. It says the Canadian Pension Plan manages $714 billion on behalf of Canadians, and instituted its goal in 2022, saying it would invest heavily in decarbonizing high emitting sectors and double its green holdings within 8 years. And then it announced that it was revoking that net zero target on Wednesday, just yesterday.
Aren't they heavily invested in Tesla too? Like while they're all like elbows up, our relationship with the Americans is over there, a bunch of fascists. And can you even believe that Elon Musk letting people speak their minds unrestricted on the internet? We're gonna have to do something about that with the new Bill C-63. But I believe they're heavily invested in Tesla also,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it is a good bang for the buck for Canadians. But this actually is part of a global trend away from these, I guess, the ESG policies, environmental and sustainability goals. For example, New Zealand. Not one for being level-headed when it comes to these sorts of things. They are abandoning Jacinda Ardern's net zero push, and she was sort of the same as the Canadian government on this issue.
Okay.
Jacinda Ardern in 2018 announced a policy, and she said that the world has moved on from fossil fuels. Well, the lie detector test determined that wasn't true, as they say on the Maury Povich show, because the new finance minister has announced plans to expand offshore gas fields in New Zealand. So maybe they didn't move on from it.
Well,
And
and it's
sorry, go ahead.
risky. It's risky. This investment strategy. This is why the Canadian Pension Plan and Canada's largest financial institution earlier this year, maybe it was the end of last year, the Royal Bank of Canada also pulled out of
Yeah,
these net zero decarbonization initiatives. In this article from the Globe and Mail, it said that it noted the changes, it touted a 41% decline in the carbon footprint of its extensive investment portfolio since 2020, but that the investment decisions are misaligned with their investment strategy, and to avoid that risk and to remain focused on delivering results, not managing legal uncertainty, we've made the decision to no longer maintain a net zero by 2050 commitment.
yeah, it should be misaligned because you're supposed to be in the business of making people money with their investments. Like that is your priority. And so if you are investing in renewables, which are expensive, only work with government subsidies and result in higher prices, then yeah, I feel like that's misaligned with the bank's goals. It's just I feel like they're recognizing this stuff a little bit too late. And for years and
Yeah.
years, the government said, "Oh, we must pursue net zero." And it's not just us. Look at even the big banks are doing it. So they were used as like cover for the government to make everything cost more for us. And now I feel like they're coming to Jesus a little too late.
Yeah, and we have reliable, consistent energy in LNG
Yeah,
that
and coal too, by the way.
is not just continues to be sidelined and sidestepped. Worth mentioning too, Liberal boomers lined up for Carney, those who have fallen for the elbows up and the green energy
Yeah.
psyop. Well, now their grandkids are lining up at
Yes.
food banks. As you wrote here, Sheila, food insecurity across Canada has skyrocketed
Yeah.
in recent years under the Liberal government. These numbers are absolutely staggering from
Yeah.
Statistics Canada, up pretty much twofold in 3 years. In
Yeah.
2021, sorry, go
I,
ahead.
no, I ran the numbers. And yeah, I said liberal boomers lined up for Carney. Now their grandkids are lining up at the food bank. In 2021, 5.8 million Canadians lived in food insecure households. By 2024, that number is 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 in 4 Canadians can't afford to eat properly. But again, we're worried about Palestinian food aid. Among children, 1 in 3 now live in food insecure homes. That's 2.5 million kids across the country. That is an absolute full-blown crisis. So these guys got their pensions, their grandkids maybe get the no-name craft dinner. And they won't shut up about, have you noticed that? They won't shut up about child poverty, but under their numbers, record numbers of kids are going to school hungry.
Yeah.
And who's not going to report on it the way that they should? The mainstream media. Why? Because their fridges are full, thanks to Mark Carney.
We vote, they ignore us. Alberta's values just don't match Ottawa's, and they never will.